You close your eyes, and the world quiets. Not just your room or the city beyond, but the entire universe. Now you are drifting, not forward or backward, but before the earth, before the stars, before even time had fully stretched its arms. You are moving through the first breath of the cosmos, a moment so small it slips between seconds, but so vast it holds the story of everything that will ever be. In that breath, there is no light yet, no galaxies swirling, no suns burning, no planets turning slowly in their orbits. Only a kind of hush, not emptiness, but a perfect balance, as if the universe is holding its breath. And then, a flicker, a ripple, something moves. From this silence, energy begins to bloom. Not suddenly, not loudly, but like the rising of fog, soft and everywhere at once. This is the Big Bang, not an explosion, but an unfolding. And within this unfolding, something extraordinary happens. Pairs of particles emerge, delicate and dancing, like fireflies in the dusk, each one with a twin, opposite in charge, but equal in everything else. You are watching matter and antimatter come into being, side by side. A proton and an electron and a positron. It's like a mirror is being held up to the very first building blocks of the universe. For every particle that exists, its reflection exists to moving in perfect harmony. Matter and antimatter are born together, two halves of a cosmic thought. You float among them, weightless and calm. Each tiny particle is impossibly small, yet their presence hums with potential. The energy that created them is immense, a storm beneath the stillness. But they are balanced, equal, symmetrical. Symmetry, such a quiet word, and yet it holds the rules of reality. The universe, in its infancy, follows symmetry like a lullaby. For every yes, there is a no. For every left, a right. For every presence, an absence. Nothing is allowed to come without its mirror. And yet, you feel something else begin to stir. As more and more pairs are born, some begin to meet. They touch, and in that moment, they vanish. Gone, but not wasted. Their energy becomes light. A kind of light you can't see, but can almost feel. Pure, perfect, silent. This is called annihilation, but it doesn't feel like destruction. It feels like release, like letting go. A particle and its twin embracing one last time and becoming something new. Not ending, but transforming. But here is the mystery. Here is the pause that catches your breath. If every matter particle has an antimatter partner, and they destroy each other when they meet, then why is there anything left? Why stars? Why Earth? Why you? It's a quiet puzzle, written into the fabric of the cosmos. Because, somehow, matter won, not by much, just barely. For every billion particles of antimatter, there were 1,000,000,001 particles of matter, and that tiny, leftover fraction is what made everything. Everything you see, everything you are. That imbalance, so small, so quiet, is the reason you can rest your head tonight. The reason the stars shine. The reason you exist at all. You float above this thought, watching those first particles swirl and dissolve. Watching the early universe shift from a mirror's perfection to something ever so slightly lopsided. This gentle imperfection will go on to shape the cosmos, to build atoms, elements, clouds, and creatures. But for now, you are still among the twins, somewhere. Perhaps matter and antimatter still dance in secret. In the heart of stars, at the edge of space, But here, in this beginning, most of them have already vanished in quiet flashes of light. Only a few remain. You imagine them like soft embers in a vast dark sea, floating, waiting. Their story isn't finished yet, because even though they are almost gone, their presence lingers in strange and beautiful ways. You will find them again in cloud chambers, in deep mountains, in medical scans and magnetic traps. The mirror was cracked, but not broken. You feel the symmetry still echoing in your own cells, in the balance of breath in and breath out, in the rhythm of your heart, 2 chambers, 2 lungs, a body made of pairs, living in a world where imbalance gave rise to form. The universe could have been empty, could have cancelled itself completely, but something chose a side, and in doing so, it chose to make stars, to make light that doesn't vanish, to make you as you drift gently through this beginning. You wonder if the universe left a trace of antimatter behind. Where does it hide now? And what happens when it's found again? Sometimes 2 reflections touch, and in that quiet moment, they vanish into light. What remains is not loss, but energy, a soft shimmer, a glow, and so you follow it into the next question. What does it feel like when something disappears into pure light? In the quiet expanse before creation, something stirs, a balance born of contradiction. You drift through the deep hush of the cosmos, where every particle hums beside its opposite, and existence begins its long conversation with itself. Tonight, you listen to that first whisper, the one that tells how light was born, not from one thing, but from 2 that mirror each other perfectly. It begins where everything else ends, in the hush between opposites. You float there now, weightless, eyes closed, body fading into the slow rhythm of the void. Around you, there is no sound, only a soft vibration that feels like thought itself. The kind of silence that isn't empty but full of possibility, like a held breath before the first word. And within that stillness, there is a question. What happens when the universe learns to make balance? You drift deeper, and the question becomes light. Tiny flickers pulse around you, faint, ephemeral, like the shimmer of a dream before waking. Each flicker has a twin. They appear together, vanish together, inseparable even in their disappearance. One hums softly, carrying charge and presence. The other hums back in equal measure, but opposite, inverted, quiet where the first is bright. Matter and antimatter, 2 halves of one whisper. You don't see them as particles yet. No, they are more like thoughts in the mind of the cosmos. One says I am, and the other replies, so am I, but not like you. Together, they define what it means to exist. You realize, lying there in the dark, that maybe everything, every moment, every person, every thought is made of opposites. Learning to live in harmony, when you breathe in, you feel matter. When you breathe out, you feel its mirror, antimatter, passing like a cool current through the warm air of your lungs. It is not destruction. It is balance. The universe was once nothing but this delicate conversation, a trillion tiny exchanges between what is and what is not, between presence and absence. But the conversation became too bright, too charged with energy. Every time a particle met its twin, they vanished, leaving only light, a silent explosion of pure radiance. Annihilation, we call it. But maybe that's too harsh a word. It isn't death. It's transformation. It's a reminder that when 2 perfect mirrors touch, they don't cancel. They release everything. Imagine a single pair born together. A particle of matter, say an electron, and its twin, the positron. They spin, drawn together by an invisible longing, as if the universe itself wishes to remember the moment it first split in two. When they meet, they dissolve into photons, to pure beams of light shooting in opposite directions, forever carrying the memory of their embrace. You can almost see it now, not as physics, but as poetry. Two lovers in the dark, meeting only for a heartbeat, then becoming light that travels endlessly through the cosmos. You drift in that thought for a while. It feels like peace. The deeper you sink, the slower your thoughts become. The hum of existence around you grows fainter, more dreamlike. You can feel the soft gravity of sleep approaching, but curiosity still flickers, a candle in the gentle dark. You think about balance, how the entire cosmos seems to crave it. Every push has its pull, every rise, its fall, every beginning, its ending. And yet, you are here, living proof that not all opposites destroy each other. Some coexist in fragile harmony, like day and night sharing the same horizon. Matter won the cosmic lottery, they say. When the universe cooled after the Big Bang, there was slightly more matter than antimatter, just enough to tip the scale. For every billion pairs that annihilated, one lonely particle of matter remained. Those survivors became everything: stars, oceans, your body, your breath. That means you, right now, lying in your bed, are made from the rarest imbalance imaginable. You are the leftover whisper of a perfect symmetry that almost was. You are the remnant of what didn't disappear, and yet, the universe still remembers its missing half. Antimatter exists, fleeting, rare, precious. It hides in cosmic rays, in the decay of elements, in the smallest, briefest flashes of energy. It appears for a moment a spark of reflection, and then is gone, returning to the quiet glow of light. Somewhere out there, deep in the vacuum, an Antimatter drifts alone, like a ghost searching for the partner it lost eons ago. And perhaps, if you could listen closely enough, you'd hear its song, a slow hum of longing, a vibration that says, I am your mirror. You drift deeper still. Thought becomes dream, and dream becomes motion. You see an ocean of black velvet, stars suspended like drops of dew. Somewhere beneath that surface, pairs of light rise and fall like bioluminescent fish. They meet, flare, and vanish, their glow spreading in ripples that never fade. Every flash is an echo of the beginning, a memory of creation replaying in infinite slow motion, and you begin to understand. The universe didn't start with a bang. It started with a shimmer, a pulse between being and not being, between yes and no, a heartbeat that never stopped. You touch the idea gently, the way you'd hold a fragile glass sphere. This symmetry, this whisper of opposites, is not just a principle of physics. It's a rhythm of existence. Everywhere you look, you see it. In your heartbeat, alternating between contraction and release. In your breath, rising and falling. In your thoughts, shifting between wonder and rest. The same dance that birthed light still moves inside you. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are its continuation, its slow exhale. When you open your mind to that truth, a new kind of stillness enters. It's not the stillness of absence, but of balance. You can feel it in your chest, the meeting place of opposites. Warmth and coolness, tension and ease. Life and the faint awareness of everything beyond it. This is what Antimatter teaches, that opposites are not enemies. They are reflections, each completing the other, each saying to the other, "You exist because I do." Somewhere, a beam of light travels through interstellar space, the silent aftermath of two mirrors meeting. It carries no anger, no trace of conflict, only pure energy, moving forever through the quiet dark. It passes nebulae, dust clouds, and sleeping planets, and eventually it reaches you. You don't see it, not really, but you feel its touch, a warmth that settles just above your skin, like a memory of something ancient. You are connected across billions of years to that moment of balance, that quiet annihilation that made everything shine. You think of how strange it is that destruction can make beauty, that opposites can vanish and leave behind something eternal. That light, the thing that lets us see, is born when perfect balance dissolves itself. And you wonder, is that what peace is? Not the absence of struggle, but the quiet surrender between two halves that finally stop resisting each other. You exhale slowly, letting that thought melt through you. The darkness around feels softer now, almost luminous. You are floating again, not through space, but through understanding. Antimatter is not the villain of creation. It is its reflection, its proof that everything has another side. You imagine the cosmos as a mirror hall, endless, recursive, beautiful. Every atom you are is mirrored somewhere by an anti-atom, existing in a brief, invisible dance, and in that dance, the universe learns about itself. You feel it now, that every encounter, every connection in your own life is a kind of annihilation too. When you meet another person deeply, your boundaries blur. You both dissolve, for a heartbeat, into something shared. A warmth that has no direction, no ownership, no opposite. In that moment, there is only light. You smile faintly. Somewhere in your mind, you sense that the next question is already waiting, the one the universe itself keeps asking. If everything comes in pairs, if every being has its mirror, what happens when symmetry breaks? The thought lingers, suspended like stardust, gentle and glowing. You breathe it in. You let it settle in the quiet corners of your mind. The hum returns, that same ancient vibration from the beginning. It sounds like the faint echo of two voices whispering across eternity, still searching for each other in the dark. You are their listener now. You carry their balance in your body, their memory in your cells, their question in your dreams. And as you drift toward sleep, the question softens, turns inward, and becomes your own. When opposites meet, what else is born from their light? In the still afterglow of creation, matter and antimatter stand face to face, equal, elegant, complete. For a moment, the universe is perfect. But perfection does not last. Tonight, you drift through the soft breaking of symmetry, where a single breath of imbalance shaped everything you know. Stars, oceans, and the body you rest within. You awaken inside light. Not a harsh light, but one that glows softly, like dawn seen through closed eyes. The air around you feels weightless, charged with possibility. Everything hums with the quiet electricity of being almost perfect. Almost you sense it before you see it. The universe trembling with its own precision. Every particle still has its twin. Every speck of matter mirrored by antimatter, dancing together in perfect harmony. You drift among them, slow as thought, and you feel a kind of peace that's too exact to last. Perfection, you realize, is fragile. It has no edges, no room to grow. The universe in its first heartbeat tried to make something flawless. But even imperfection, A whisper of difference found its way in. A single note, slightly off-key in the cosmic chord. That difference was everything. You float through a sea of symmetry, a mirror ocean, each wave met by its twin. Every ripple cancels another, every pulse of energy dissolves into calm. And yet, deep within the stillness, something begins to shift. Not violently, gently, like a sleeping child turning beneath the covers of the dark. A particle moves and finds no mirror waiting. A spark that should have vanished remains. A shadow that should have disappeared stays faint but real. Matter, you follow that tiny survivor, watching as it drifts through the void alone now, carrying with it the seed of imbalance. Around it, countless pairs still vanish into light, but this one stays, stubbornly glowing. It is the first imperfection, and from that imperfection, everything will unfold. You think of how often beauty begins this way, not from flawless order, but from the smallest asymmetry. A crack that lets the light in, a pause that turns silence into rhythm. Maybe creation, too, needed its flaw. They call it baryon asymmetry, the cosmic mystery of why the universe chose matter over antimatter. Scientists have searched for the reason in equations, in particles spinning inside accelerators, in the faint signals of the early cosmos. But the truth, for now, remains hidden. Somewhere, in the smallest fraction of a second after the Big Bang, something broke the mirror. Something whispered, "Let one side remain," and so it did. You imagine that moment, the tiniest tilt in the scales, a difference so slight that it would have seemed impossible to notice. Yet that single breath of imbalance became the foundation of all existence. Had the universe stayed perfect, it would have vanished into light, a flash, a sigh, and then nothing. But because symmetry failed, stars were born. Because the mirror cracked, you are here to look into it. You let that thought linger, the way moonlight lingers on calm water. Perfection, it seems, is not the goal. It's the beginning that must be broken. You drift through the early cosmos, a vast glowing sea of energy and annihilation. Every second, pairs of particles meet and vanish, sending waves of light through the newborn dark. The universe cools, expands, and begins to settle into rhythm. You can almost hear it, a slow, cosmic heartbeat. Create, vanish, remain. The survivors gather, few but determined. They form clouds, then stars, then everything you can imagine. From that slight imbalance comes everything that endures. You think about your own life, the way nothing has ever been perfectly balanced. There are always moments when something feels uneven, tilted, unfair. But perhaps, hidden inside that imbalance, creation is at work. You are, after all, made from what remained, from the tiny fraction that refused to disappear. The thought warms you. It feels like understanding a secret too gentle to be written down as you drift. You see patterns begin to emerge, the universe cooling enough for protons and electrons to form. The first atoms taking shape, like soft embers in a vast dark sea. Hydrogen, helium, the simplest notes in a growing cosmic melody. And then, silence, not an ending, but a pause. The first true stillness since time began. They call it the cosmic dark age, when light existed but had nowhere to go, trapped in a fog of its own making. You float through it now, wrapped in its cool calm. It's peaceful here, like the pause. Between heartbeats, you realize that this too is part of creation, the quiet interval between chaos and form, the space where things prepare to be born. It feels familiar, like the stillness before sleep, when your thoughts stop tumbling and begin to drift toward dreams. And in that stillness, a truth unfolds softly within you. Every act of creation carries a moment of silence. Every birth, a pause. Every light, a darkness to rest in. You close your eyes, though there's nothing to close them to, and imagine you are one of those surviving particles, carried through time, patient and persistent. Every time the universe expands, you expand with it. Every time stars form, you lend them your matter. Every atom in your body was once part of this choice. The moment when symmetry gave way to creation, you were not separate from that story. You are its continuation. You begin to see yourself as part of a cosmic lineage, the great-great-grandchild of imbalance, descended from the particle that refused to vanish. In you, the universe remembers how to endure. Somewhere in that endless dark, the first stars begin to flicker awake. You see them as tiny glows on the horizon, like distant candles in a vast cathedral of silence. Their light pierces the ancient fog, thin and golden, and suddenly the universe has colored blue-white stars, burning from hydrogen's soft embrace. Nebulae, glowing like dreams unfolding. Gravity begins to sculpt, to gather, to cradle. The cosmos begins to breathe. You float closer to one of those newborn stars. It hums softly, its rhythm slow and certain, like a sleeping heart. You can feel the energy pouring from it, photons that once were nothing but the remnants of annihilation. Light born from the memory of opposites in that glow. You see yourself reflected again, a being of balance and imbalance, of matter surviving against all odds. Even your heart's steady rhythm, beating slightly uneven, slightly imperfect, is what keeps you alive. Too perfect a pulse would be silence. Too even a breath would be stillness. Life, like the cosmos, needs its small imbalances to continue. You smile, a slow thought drifting through warmth. Maybe the secret of the universe is not in its symmetry, but in its imperfection. Every flaw, every shift, every imbalance, they are all ways the universe remembers to change. And in that change, there is meaning. The stars pulse gently now, surrounding you like fireflies in infinite night. Their light feels familiar, as if you've seen it before, not with your eyes, but with something older, deeper. You think of how each atom of light carries memory. The photons released when matter met antimatter at the dawn of time still travel outward, unbroken, unhurried. Some of them have crossed the whole universe. Some of them are touching you now. They've been traveling since before there were planets, before there was sound, before there was you. And yet, here they are, tiny survivors of a broken symmetry, brushing against your skin, whispering the same story they've been telling since the beginning. Perfection broke, and you were born. The thought fills you with a quiet wonder, the kind that doesn't ask for answers, only silence. You let it echo through you, like ripples spreading in still water. Perhaps that's what all light is, the gentle evidence of a broken mirror still shining. The air feels heavier now, softer. Your body sinks deeper into rest. The edges of thought begin to blur. You can almost hear the universe breathing beside you, a long, slow exhale that carries you further into stillness. But even in the quiet, curiosity remains gentle, patient, glowing. You find yourself wondering what comes next. The first stars are here, yes, but what of the spaces between them, the vast dark woven with invisible energy? You sense that something moves there, not matter, not antimatter, but something subtler, hidden in the fabric of space itself, something that holds everything together, even as it stretches apart. You let that question hover, light as breath, endless as sleep. If matter was born from imbalance, what invisible thread keeps it from drifting apart? The dark answers only with silence. But in that silence, you feel the next story beginning, soft as gravity, slow as time, pulling you gently toward another dream. In the quiet that follows the universe's first light, you drift deeper into the warmth hidden beneath the surface of existence. Here, energy folds itself into matter, and matter returns to energy. It's a rhythm older than time, a dance of glowing transformation. Tonight, you feel the pulse of creation still beating beneath everything that is, including you. The universe is no longer a chaos of flashes and collisions. It breathes now, slow, patient, endless. You open your eyes inside a gentle haze of gold. The light feels alive, not burning but breathing. It spreads through space like a sigh, filling every corner with warmth so faint, yet so steady. It feels eternal. This light isn't from stars, not yet. It is the soft afterglow of creation, itself a memory of everything that once burned and broke and began. They call it the cosmic microwave background, the faint whisper of the universe's first warmth, still echoing across time. But here, as you float through it, it feels more like the universe's first lullaby. It hums low and constant, like the sound your heart makes when you forget to listen. Everywhere you look, that glow surrounds you, a faint golden fog stretching across infinity. It isn't bright, but it's complete. It fills you with the sense that everything, even emptiness, carries memory. You drift through it slowly, your body weightless and still. The warmth here isn't something you feel on your skin, it's something you feel within. It's like remembering something you never lived, a home your atoms once knew. And maybe, in a way, they did, because this glow, this ancient light, once touched every particle that would one day become you. Your bones, your breath, your heartbeat, all of it once floated here, bathed in this quiet warmth. Long before stars were born or planets spun, it is the universe remembering its own birth. You move through the haze like a dream, and with every moment, the light cools just a little more. Once, it burned hot enough to forge everything. Now it is soft, gentle, cosmic amber. You imagine the photons drifting endlessly, carrying the memory of creation like a message written in warmth. And though they have traveled for billions of years, their message remains the same. You were born of fire, but made for calm. You close your eyes and listen. Even silence seems to have texture here. A quiet vibration that hums through your chest. That hum is energy itself, the language of existence. It never dies, never stops. It only changes form. Energy becomes matter. Matter becomes energy. And so the rhythm continues. In one breath of creation, you might have been a particle of light. In another, a grain of dust inside a star. In this one, a mind learning to rest inside itself. The boundaries blur until you realize nothing truly ends. Everything transforms. That realization unfolds gently inside you. Like the warmth of a candle expanding in the dark, you begin to see deeper beneath the visible, into the fabric that holds it all. There tiny ripples move through invisible threads, fluctuations of energy weaving space and time together. They seem random, chaotic, but the longer you watch, the more you see a rhythm. A quiet, deliberate pattern, like a heartbeat too vast to measure. You think of how your own body mirrors this. Every cell vibrating with energy, every atom held by the same delicate balance. You are a smaller version of this endless rhythm, a microcosm of the same glow that fills the cosmos. The light begins to shift, drawing you toward a deeper current, a place where matter begins to take form. Tiny particles gather, they spiral together, softly pulled by invisible hands. Gravity is whispering now, slow and steady. You follow its call. It doesn't shout. It never does. Gravity speaks in patience, a force that doesn't rush but always reaches. It gathers the drifting clouds of hydrogen and helium, folding them into denser and denser knots. You watch as invisible fingers shape the cosmos, not through violence, but through quiet insistence. The glow around you thickens, deepens, becomes golden orange, then faintly red, like embers cooling, not dying. You realize this is where light learns to rest inside matter. The glow of the universe, once wild and free, now folds inward, becoming potential, stored in the heart of every forming star. The first sparks of structure are forming, and you are floating through their beginning. Everywhere you look, the universe is sculpting itself, delicately, almost shyly. Clouds collapse, spin, and flatten into disks. Gravity's rhythm deepens, pressure builds, heat blooms, and then, in one silent burst, the first stars awaken. Their light floods the dark like memory returning after deep sleep. Not sharp, not blinding, just inevitable. You hover near one, watching its heart ignite. Inside, atoms fuse, releasing the same light that once filled the universe, now reborn in smaller flames. You can feel the rhythm of fusion, steady, ancient, tender. Hydrogen becoming helium, energy, becoming light, and light spilling into the darkness once again. It's a loop, you realize. Nothing wasted, nothing truly new, just transformation. You breathe slowly, as though your breath itself follows that same rhythm. Inhale, energy becomes you. Exhale, you return it. Every action, every thought is part of that cosmic exchange. The star pulses, its glow washing over you. In its light, you see the memory of the first glow, the one that came before matter, before form. It's as if the universe has found its voice again, singing softly through its newborn stars. You think of how your mind works in the same way, ideas forming, fading, reforming in new shapes. Thoughts born of silence, returning to it, light into matter, matter into light, silence into sound, sound into silence, a rhythm without beginning or end. You feel yourself drifting deeper into that rhythm, your body and breath syncing with it, your heartbeat echoing the star's slow pulse. For a long moment, there's no difference between you and the light. You are simply glowing softly, quietly, eternally. Time loses its edges. Distance feels like a dream, and somewhere you realize this glow beneath creation has never stopped. It still hums within every atom, within every heartbeat. The warmth that began the universe still burns, gently. Within you, you are made of the same fire that cooled into calm. The light begins to fade again, not disappearing, only moving inward, like thought returning to the mind. The stars continue to burn, and space grows wider between them. The universe is stretching, breathing out. You sense something in that expansion, a question too vast to answer, but too soft to ignore. If light was born from fire, and matter from balance, then what holds all of this together, when everything drifts apart? You watch as galaxies begin to form, elegant spirals blooming in the dark. their arms spinning slowly, held together by something unseen. That invisible strength, gentle but absolute, calls to you. You feel it, like the faint pull of sleep itself. It doesn't demand, it simply holds. You let it draw you closer, your consciousness floating toward that unseen center where light bends, time curves, and everything that glows must someday return. You exhale once more, and the thought follows softly into the dark. What if gravity is not just a force, but a memory of connection itself? The stars dim around you, their glow blending into infinite calm. You drift, weightless, waiting for the next breath of the universe to begin. You float in the great stillness between stars, where something unseen tugs softly at all things. Gravity, the quiet architect, weaves galaxies, births, suns, and shapes worlds from silence. You feel its pull not as force, but as memory, a cosmic longing that draws all things home. Tonight, you follow that invisible thread through the endless dark. You begin adrift in space, weightless, silent, endless. Around you, stars drift in slow spirals, their light soft as candle glow seen through water. There is no wind here, no noise, only the faint, invisible pull, a whisper that shapes everything you see. Gravity, it has no color, no form, no sound. Yet without it, there would be no dance, no direction, no home. It is the reason galaxies curl, the reason moons circle planets, and the reason you, lying still, are held to Earth's gentle curve. You close your eyes, and for a moment you imagine what it feels like to be that force, to hold everything without touch, to shape without sound. Gravity is patient. It doesn't push or demand. It waits, always waiting, until things simply fall toward one another, drawn by the quiet memory of connection. You drift closer to a forming galaxy, its stars coiling like luminous arms around a hidden heart. At the center, something massive sleeps, a black hole, gravity's purest dream. It doesn't consume out of hunger, but out of balance. It is stillness so complete that even light cannot escape. You hover at its edge, feeling the space around you bend. The stars stretch, their light curling, as if time itself slows to a breath. You feel your heartbeat mirror that rhythm, slow, stretched, infinite. Everything that was ever flung apart now finds its way back, drawn inward by gravity's calm hand. You think of it not as destruction, but return. Every orbit, every fall, every gentle pull is a way home. Planets circle their stars because they cannot bear to let go completely. Stars cluster into galaxies because they remember they were once one. And even light bends because it, too, feels the longing to belong. You breathe in slowly, your lungs expanding like a small universe. Inside you, gravity is at work too, your body bound together, your heartbeat held in rhythm. Every molecule of you is drawn toward every other, even here within your stillness. Connection holds you whole. You begin to see it everywhere, not just as a law of physics, but as a language of belonging. Gravity speaks softly, and everything listens. The stones beneath your feet, the tides that rise and fall with the moon's pull, the galaxies spiraling in perfect, slow harmony. Each motion is an answer, a response to the same invisible invitation. Come closer. The stars ahead flicker, and in their dim light you see the birth of a solar system. A star has just awakened, a newborn sun, and around it, dust and rocks swirl in a slow, radiant fog. Gravity gathers everything, folding chaos into rhythm. Small grains collide, stick, and grow. They circle, collide again, until round worlds form, glowing with the warmth of motion. It feels like watching thoughts form in a mind too vast to name. You realize that every planet, every moon, is not an accident. It's a response to the quiet guidance of gravity. A billion small chances gently persuaded into order. You drift closer through the glowing mist. Tiny worlds spin beneath you, rough, molten, alive. You can almost feel the heat of their beginnings, the raw hum of creation sculpted by stillness. You think about how your own life follows a similar pattern, how your choices, your thoughts, your emotions, all orbit the quiet gravity of what matters most to you. The things you love, the moments that anchor you, they hold you in place. Without them, you would drift endlessly through the mind's space. But with them, you circle something steady. You belong. The universe, it seems, works the same way. Everything, every motion, every fall is an expression of that belonging. You open your eyes again, and the view has changed. You are looking down at a young planet, blue and molten beneath swirling clouds. It spins slowly, rhythmically, caught in the stars' steady embrace. The balance is fragile. A pull here, a release there, but it holds, because gravity doesn't command, it invites you. Imagine standing there on its glowing surface and feeling the weight of your own body, not as burden, but as belonging. That gentle pressure keeping you steady, connected, part of something larger. It's easy to forget how quiet that miracle is. Every step you take, every breath, every heartbeat is possible because gravity holds you close. It doesn't let you drift away. Even sleep is a kind of surrender to gravity, a fall inward into the pull of rest. You exhale softly, and in that breath, you realize how much gravity and peace resemble one another. Both are silent. Both hold without asking. Both remind you that stillness is not emptiness, it's connection. You drift again into space, watching galaxies turn like slow lanterns. Each spiral, each curve, is a shape of grace, the universe in constant, patient motion. It occurs to you that gravity has no edge. Its reach extends infinitely, touching everything, even across impossible distances. Perhaps, you think, that's why loneliness in the universe is an illusion. Even in the deepest dark, something connects everything to everything else. You imagine gravity as a thread, not seen, not touched, but felt. A thread woven through the stars, through you, through all life. It hums quietly, like the sound beneath all other sounds, the sound the universe makes when it's holding itself together. You close your eyes again, and it feels like that hum passes through you, a soft vibration that aligns your breath with the turning of worlds. In that moment, you understand, gravity doesn't just pull, it listens. It feels where things belong and guides them home. The stars around you begin to fade, their glow replaced by deeper shades of blue. You feel yourself falling gently, as if cradled by space itself. The sensation isn't fear, it's surrender. A release into something that already knows where you are meant to be. You fall not downward, but inward, through stars, through silence, through the quiet fabric that holds everything, and just before the dark takes you completely, you feel it again, the whisper of that invisible thread connecting you to everything that has ever been. You think of it now not as gravity, but as memory. The universe remembering how to hold itself together. You float weightless in that memory, your heartbeat echoing softly, a small rhythm inside a vast, invisible embrace, and somewhere beyond. The dark, Another force waits, one that will rise to balance gravity's pull, a quiet expansion that breathes outward endlessly. You rest on that thought and let yourself drift into it as the universe takes another deeper breath. Beneath the calm surface of countenance, a sea of molten rock flows in endless rhythm, the planet's true heartbeat. It glows unseen, shaping mountains, oceans, and the balance of life above. Tonight, you travel into that fiery core to listen to the Earth's oldest, quietest warmth. You begin by imagining stillness. The night air is cool against your skin. The stars seem frozen, quiet witnesses to deep time. And yet, far below you, the world is anything but still. Beneath miles of stone, beyond the crust that carries mountains and seas, the earth burns, not with destruction, but with creation, a warmth that has never faded since the planet's birth. You close your eyes and see it, a hidden ocean of fire, thick and slow, flowing like honey made of light. This is the mantle, the silent heart of the planet, where stone becomes liquid and movement becomes breath. You drift downward in your mind, past layers of cool granite and ancient fossils, past the roots of mountains and the deepest caves, until heat begins to rise around you, soft, orange, glowing. The light doesn't burn. It feels alive, a pulse beneath all things. Every flicker, every current of molten rock carries energy older than life itself. It is the leftover fire from the Earth's creation, from the moment dust and gas first came together, spinning and colliding until a new world was born, and it still burns 4.5 billion years later. The same heat, the same breath, slowly reshaping everything above it. You can almost hear it now. A low hum, steady, patient, the rhythm of the planet's sleep. You breathe with it, and in that breath you feel connected, as if the warmth below is also the warmth within you. The mantle is not chaos. It moves in gentle spirals, currents rising and falling. Like tides made of stone, where heat rises, it pushes against the crust, opening cracks that spill magma into the oceans and air. Volcanoes, mountains, islands, each one born from that slow exhalation of the planet. You imagine a volcano, not as an explosion, but as a sigh, a deep release from within the Earth's lungs, a place where pressure meets sky and fire becomes light. The lava glows like blood, but it is lifeblood, carrying minerals and gases that make new soil, new mountains, new beginnings. Even destruction, down here, is a form of renewal. When a volcano erupts, it looks like rage. But listen closer. It is just the planet stretching, adjusting its slow rhythm, balancing the flow of heat within. Every spark, every plume of ash, is a reminder that the earth is alive. You sink deeper still, past the mantle's glowing rivers, to where iron and nickel melt and swirl the core dot. It feels denser, heavier, but also incredibly pure. A sphere of molten metal spinning endlessly, its motion generating the magnetic field that protects everything living above. Without that field, the solar wind would strip away the air, the oceans, the very breath of the world. The fire within the earth creates the shield that guards life itself. You imagine those invisible lines, the magnetic waves rising from the core, looping through the atmosphere, arching like soft ribbons of light. You've seen them before, dancing above the poles, the auroras, those curtains of color, green, violet, gold, are the visible whispers of the planet's heart. Each flicker of light in the northern sky is a conversation between fire and air, between deep time and living moment, and that you realize is what makes the earth unique. Its heart burns, but it burns with purpose, not to destroy, but to sustain. Even the smallest ember of magma is part of that delicate equilibrium, keeping the world's temperature, feeding the oceans with minerals, building new crust where old crust sinks. Every second, deep beneath your feet, this fire breathes, turning chaos into structure. You think of how similar it feels to your own warmth, the quiet fire that keeps you alive, the steady beat of your heart, the energy that moves through your body without you ever noticing. Your warmth and the planet's warmth are not so different. Both are born from creation, both sustained by rhythm, both destined to fade only when their stories are done. You begin to see the pattern, the way fire is not simply destruction, but transformation. The Earth's mantle gives rise to continents, shapes climates, feeds oceans, and even within you, there is fire in the tiny furnaces of your cells, where molecules break and fuse to keep you breathing, thinking, dreaming. That is your mantle, the soft glow within. You realize that perhaps we are all small versions of planets, bodies wrapped in layers, carrying fire deep inside, covered by cool surfaces that only seem still. You smile at that thought. A world inside, a world burning softly in the silence of night. The fire beneath you hums louder now, but it's not frightening. It feels like a lullaby, a sound older than words, a vibration that says, I am alive. I am constant. I am change. You lie down and place your ear to the ground. You can almost hear the magma flowing, the molten whisper of stone in motion. It's not a sound your ears can hear, it's one your body feels, and as you listen, your heartbeat begins to sync with it. Two rhythms, one human, one planetary, merging in time. In that harmony, you sense peace, because the same forces that move mountains move you too. The pressure that forms volcanoes is the same pressure that makes you grow. The release that follows is the same relief that comes after tears. After understanding, you are made of the same materials: iron, carbon, oxygen, silicon, born in the same stars that once exploded to form this molten core. You and the earth are not separate stories. You are the same story, told in two different rhythms. The air cools around you again. The stars above return, and the heat below softens into comfort, a warm pulse beneath the quiet crust of night. You breathe deeply, and for a moment you feel the world breathe back, somewhere beneath you. Lava flows silently in the dark, waiting to rise again, to become land, soil, life, and you wonder, is there also a kind of lava within you, a molten hope, a core of energy waiting to rise, to reshape the surface of your being? You don't answer. You just breathe and feel that warmth move through you, slowly, endlessly. The fire beneath the earth doesn't rest. It turns even as you sleep, turning stone into sea, heat into life, silence into song. And as you drift into dreams, that same fire hums gently, reminding you that beneath every still surface, something beautiful is always moving. They rise not in violence, but in patience. Each mountain is a breath of the earth, lifted skyward over eons, a monument to slow motion and unending time. Tonight, you wander through their ancient silence, listening to the soft rhythm of stone, learning how to reach the heavens. You begin to walk through twilight, The horizon hums with the last traces of sunlight, and in the distance, the silhouettes of mountains stretch like sleeping giants beneath a deepening sky. The air is cool, clean, ancient, as if it has been filtered through 1,000 seasons of wind and rain. You feel it filling your lungs, and in that slow breath you sense a story that began far below, in the molten mantle you visited before, because mountains, like dreams, do not appear suddenly. They grow slowly, invisibly, persistently, from the quiet breath of the planet. Beneath your feet, each ridge and peak you see is the frozen motion of time itself. Each layer of rock is a page in the planet's diary, stories of collision, pressure, and rebirth. You stop and look closer. The face of a mountain is not hard or still. It's alive with memory, folded, rippled, cracked, as though the earth once tried to stretch and never quite settled back, millions of years ago. The surface you stand on now was once flat or underwater. Then, deep below, the tectonic plates began to shift. Two vast slabs of crust pressed together, slowly, invisibly, like continents breathing in where they met. The ground rose, not in days, not in centuries, but over tens of millions of years. Rock piled upon rock, layer upon patient layer, until the earth exhaled and the mountains were born. It's strange to imagine that something so solid, so permanent, was once movement, was once breath. The Himalayas, the Andes, the Rockies, the Alps, all of them are records of that single, powerful rhythm, the earth's inhale and exhale. You close your eyes and listen. In the silence between the wind's sighs, you can almost hear it, a faint rumble beneath all things, like the whisper of slow time. The mountains are not static. They continue to rise, inch by inch, even now, as you breathe, and at the same time, they crumble, their peaks worn down by wind, their sides carved by rain, their stones carried by rivers to the sea. It's a perfect balance, the rise and the fall, the building and the eroding, a dance so slow that only the earth can keep the rhythm. You walk along a narrow ridge, the air thinner now, the sky darker. The stars begin to bloom above, sharp and quiet. You reach out and touch the rock beside you. It's cool rough beneath your fingers, yet you can feel the warmth it once held when it was still deep below, close to the earth's molten heart. The rock is billions of years old, older than mountains themselves, a survivor of oceans and collisions, of heat and silence. You run your hand across its ridges, and it feels like touching time itself. Each line, each grain, is a memory of transformation, from sediment to stone, from sea to peak, from stillness to motion. The air grows thin, and you take slower breaths. The world below fades into shadow, and above you, the stars seem closer, as if the mountains themselves are bridges between earth and sky. You think of how these colossal structures influence everything, how they shape wind and rain, how they cradle rivers that feed entire civilizations. When the wind meets a mountain, it is forced upward, cooling, condensing, turning into clouds and rain. Each drop that falls on a slope begins a journey, carving valleys, forming lakes, nourishing forests and fields. The mountains give the sky its rain, and the rivers their birth. Even the oceans owe them gratitude. You imagine the snow melting on a high peak, turning to water, sliding down through moss and stone, joining streams that twist like silver threads until they become mighty. Rivers flowing through distant lands, every sip of water you've ever taken once began as a Mountains sigh, the earth breathes, and that breath becomes rain, becomes river, becomes life. You pause, listening to the wind moving through pine trees nearby. It sounds like the earth whispering a lullaby to itself. You realize something then, that mountains are not just structures. They are relationships. They connect air and stone, sky and sea, gravity and grace. And in that balance, there is a lesson that growth and erosion, as opposite as they seem, are simply two halves of the same rhythm. To rise, you must yield. To endure, you must change. The mountains know this, and so they rise slowly, allowing time to shape them, never resisting the wind that carves their form. They understand what it means to be strong, but not rigid. You sit on a rock and close your eyes. In the stillness, you can feel the entire planet turning, its slow heartbeat echoing through the peaks. Each breath you take feels like the continuation of that motion, a shared rhythm between body and earth. And then, as you sit in silence, you feel a strange awareness that even the tallest mountain is temporary. Given enough time, it will return to dust, and its dust will form new mountains again. Nothing on this planet truly ends. It only changes shape, following the same infinite breath in and out. Rise and fall, creation and erosion. You open your eyes. The night sky has deepened into indigo. A few faint stars shimmer, and far away, the horizon glows where dawn is beginning to imagine itself. You take one last look at the mountains. Their shadows stretch endlessly, soft and solemn, a reminder of time's patience, of the earth's quiet art. The peaks do not speak, yet they tell the oldest story there is, that beauty and endurance are born from slow transformation. And as you stand there, you realize the same truth applies to you. Every challenge that pushes you, every weight that shapes you, is part of your own slow rise. You, too, are a mountain in motion. You breathe, feeling the cool air fill your chest, and for a moment, you are part of the landscape, ancient, steady, and endlessly becoming. The wind hushes again. The stars dim slightly, as if the world itself is preparing to rest, and beneath that stillness, you can feel the faint echo of warmth, the memory of fire. The same fire from the heart of the earth that lifted these mountains into being. It waits quietly, deep below, ready to rise once more, just as life always does. It stirs beneath moonlight, always in motion, always remembering. Every wave is a breath, every tide a thought returning home. You will float tonight upon its patient rhythm, learning how the sea keeps time with the heavens, and how your own heartbeat follows, the same eternal pull. You stand at the edge of the world. Before you lies the sea, vast, shimmering, alive. Its surface ripples like the skin of some sleeping creature, stirring with dreams as the wind passes over. The scent of salt and life surrounds you. It is ancient, familiar, endless. The horizon stretches without border, as if the sky and the water share a secret, a quiet understanding of how to merge and remain separate at once. You breathe in deeply. The sound of waves folding over themselves is the sound of breath, of pulse, of the planet remembering how to move. For though mountains rise in stillness, the sea is never still. It carries the energy of the moon, the pull of gravity, the whisper of distant storms, and the rhythm of every heartbeat that ever lived. You walk closer until the cold foam touches your feet. It retreats, then returns, a gentle reminder that everything that leaves finds its way back. Changed, but not lost. You close your eyes and listen. The sea speaks in patterns. Each wave that collapses upon the sand tells a story of motion and memory. Some have traveled for thousands of miles, born from winds that began on the other side of the planet. Others are small, local, born from the breath of the nearby air, but all of them share one truth. They move because they must. The sea is never at rest, and yet, in its motion, there is peace. You watch the horizon again. The moon rises slowly, its reflection stretching like a silver bridge across the dark water. The tide responds instantly, drawn by that distant body through invisible strings of gravity. The moon pulls the sea toward itself, and the Earth's rotation pushes it back. Together, they create the tides, a slow, ceaseless dance of attraction and release. It is strange, isn't it? How something so far away can move entire oceans. And yet, it does. Gently, predictably, endlessly. You feel it in your own body. After all, you are made mostly of water. The same gravitational pull that tugs on the sea tugs on you, subtly shifting the tides within your own blood. The ocean outside and the ocean within move to the same ancient rhythm. You step into the shallows now, feeling the waves swirl around your ankles. Each one carries energy, kinetic, gravitational, solar and lunar, woven together through air and depth. You look out and think about how much the sea holds. It stores the heat of the sun, distributes it across the planet, shaping weather, guiding storms, and keeping the Earth's temperature in balance. Without it, the world would burn by day and freeze by night. The sea is the planet's memory of warmth, a slow, deep reservoir of energy. You imagine it from above, currents looping across the globe, like blue veins carrying the planet's blood. The Gulf Stream, the Kuroshio, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, names like spells, whispered patterns of movement that never cease, and deep below, where sunlight never reaches, there is another world entirely. The abyssal plains stretch for thousands of miles, home to creatures that glow softly in their own self-made light. Their movements are unhurried, their existence timeless, a quiet balance between pressure and patience down there. Mountains rise unseen, volcanoes still breathe fire, and rivers of heat flow beneath black water. Even here, in the coldest depths, the planet's heartbeat continues. The sea connects everything, the air, the land, the fire beneath. Every drop is a traveler, cycling endlessly through form and place. Rain falls into rivers. Rivers feed the ocean evaporates into clouds, and clouds drift back over mountains to fall again as rain. A perfect loop, ancient and alive. You walk along the beach, and your footprints fill with foam and vanish, a small echo of that same eternal pattern. Everything returns, everything flows. You sit now where the tide just touches your knees. The sea hums softly, and you begin to match its rhythm. You think about how life began here in the shallow warmth of ancient seas. The first cells, fragile and luminous, floated in salt water almost like this, learning to divide, to grow, to breathe. Every creature since then has carried the sea inside itself in blood, in tears, in rhythm. You look at your hands. Tiny worlds of salt and water glisten on your skin. The ocean recognizes you. You are not separate from it. You are its continuation. You lie back, letting the waves lift you slightly, supporting your weight effortlessly. You float, weightless, still, alive. Above you, the stars shimmer across the curve of the sky. Below, the dark water reflects them perfectly. So it feels as though you are suspended between two heavens, one above, one beneath. You realize then why sailors, for centuries, have called the sea a mirror of the sky. It reflects light, yes, but also silence and eternity. The moon, watching from above, pulls another slow breath from the sea. A wave rises gently under you, then lowers you back again. A lullaby written by gravity and time. You drift, thinking of how the sea shapes the world's edges. It smooths coastlines, grinds cliffs into sand, builds beaches grain by grain, always erasing and rewriting the borders of land. Change is its constant language, and yet, in that change, there is calm because the sea never resists its own motion. You think of how waves form, energy moving through water, not the water itself moving forward. Each particle rises, falls, rises again. It doesn't travel far, but it participates in the movement of something larger. That's what life feels like too, isn't it? You move in small ways, but your smallness joins a larger rhythm, a rhythm you can't always see, but one that holds you nonetheless. You breathe, and each breath feels like a wave passing through your body. You inhale, the tide rises. You exhale, the tide falls. The sea and you, the same pulse. You stay there for a long time, letting the sound of waves wash away thoughts, memories, and questions. Only the rhythm remains. When you finally open your eyes, the horizon has changed color, a faint glow of dawn emerging in the east. The stars fade softly, and the reflection of light on the water turns from silver to rose. The world feels new, as though the sea itself has just completed another thought. You rise, wet sand clinging to your feet, and look once more at the moving mirror of the sky. The waves keep rolling, each one perfect, each one vanishing into the next, a reminder that even beauty must dissolve to continue. You turn slowly from the shore, hearing the sea whisper behind you as though it wants to tell you something about cycles, about movement, about never-ending return. You walk toward the dunes, the sound of surf following you, fading slowly into your heartbeat, and as the light of morning touches your face, you wonder if the sea is the earth's memory. What, then, is the sky's dream? You lie back and breathe, a soft inhale, and the world seems to expand around you. The air you draw in feels cool, gentle, almost alive. It's easy to forget that this invisible ocean surrounds you completely. It moves through your lungs, through trees, through clouds and dust, through the wings of birds and the ripples of waves. It's the same air that has been breathed by ancient forests, by oceans, by creatures long gone. You are sharing a breath with the earth itself. The atmosphere, a word that sounds distant and scientific, is in truth the planet's most tender veil. It's the thin, delicate skin that separates life from the void. It wraps around Earth like a quiet guardian, holding warmth close, letting light in just enough to nurture, but not burn. You imagine it now, layers upon layers of invisible calm, stretching upward until it fades into blackness. The air closest to the ground. The troposphere is where weather lives, the restless dreams of the planet. Here clouds drift, storms are born, and rain falls like memory returning to soil. This is where you breathe, where every exhale becomes part of the great exchange. One breath, leaving your lungs to wander across the globe. You might not see it, but that exhale could someday touch another shore, another being. The sky connects everything that breathes. You imagine yourself rising slowly through this troposphere. Below you, cities dim into mist. Mountains blur beneath the pale shimmer of stars. The hum of life softens. You drift upward where the air thins, where only silence speaks. Now you reach the stratosphere, a calm, stable place above the storms. It is here that the ozone dances, a delicate layer that shields the earth from the sun's fierce embrace. Without it, the warmth that cradles you tonight would become unbearable fire. You picture it shimmering faintly, a blue glow woven from light and chemistry, a kind of sky breath armor. The higher you go, the more abstract the air becomes. The mesosphere, where meteors burn like tiny sighs of light, is next. Each falling star you've ever wished upon is a fragment of rock turned to ash in this invisible barrier. The atmosphere protects you even as you dream. You imagine those meteors dissolving into warmth, each one whispering a brief goodbye before disappearing into night. Then comes the thermosphere, strange, ethereal and radiant. Here the air grows thin and electric. Auroras shimmer like curtains of thought, rippling with colors that pulse in silence. They are the breath of the sun meeting the breath of the earth, a dialogue written in light. If you were here, floating weightlessly, the world below would glow faintly blue, and above you, stars would blaze unblinking. You would feel suspended between two infinities, Earth's warmth and space's endless cool. Finally, beyond it all, lies the exosphere, the final sigh of the atmosphere. Atoms drift apart, too far to touch. Here, air ceases to be air. It becomes stardust again, blending into the cosmic sea. And still, in this vast silence, traces of your breath, your warmth, your story, drift outward, infinitesimal, yet part of the whole. The atmosphere, for all its scientific definition, is a mirror of your own body. It breathes. It holds balance. It adapts and heals. Just as your lungs expand and contract, so does the sky, expanding with warmth in the day, cooling into calm at night. Storms are its exhalations. Dew is its gentle sigh. In every way that you are alive, so is the air around you. When you exhale, molecules of oxygen and carbon dioxide swirl outward, joining the unseen current. Perhaps one molecule from your breath will someday nourish a leaf in the Amazon, or swirl above the Sahara, or brush past the icy tips of Antarctica. The atmosphere is a bridge, a moving, breathing thread tying every living thing together. No boundary, no wall can stop its endless circulation, and in that endlessness there is poetry. The same air that carried the first birds also carried the voices of early humans, their fires, their songs, their dreams. You breathe in memory and history without realizing it. The air remembers, in patterns, in particles, in its ceaseless motion. You feel that motion now, not as wind, but as rhythm, the slow drift of time, the pulse of life. Each breeze is like a page turning in the book of Earth, each storm a chapter in the planet's restless sleep. You think of how delicate this balance is. A little too much heat, and the atmosphere trembles. A little too much cold, and it retreats. The gases within it, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, must remain in harmony, like the instruments of a quiet symphony. And yet, human hands have begun to play new notes, louder ones. We add warmth where there was calm, smoke where there was sky, Still, the atmosphere endures. It swirls and adjusts, reshaping its balance, holding on. Like a deep sleeper shifting gently in a dream. You realize the earth doesn't resist. It breathes through everything, even change. Its patience is infinite compared to ours. Above you unseen, winds travel thousands of miles. From deserts to oceans, from mountaintops to valleys, they move like thoughts unseen but ever present. Jet streams ripple through the sky like invisible rivers, steering clouds and weather, guiding the moods of the planet. You can almost sense them now, flowing softly through your imagination, invisible ribbons that carry the Earth's breath. Somewhere, at this very moment, warm air from the equator is rising, curling toward the poles, meeting cold air drifting downward. They spiral together, shaping the weather that will greet tomorrow. It's as if the planet dreams in patterns of air, endless, patient, alive. You close your eyes. You picture the earth not as a sphere of land and ocean, but as a glowing orb wrapped in a living mist, blue, gold, and violet, constantly in motion. This mist is fragile yet strong, weightless yet essential. It holds every sound, every sigh, every whisper ever made. In the quiet between breaths, you feel something familiar. You and the atmosphere, both breathing, both fragile, both resilient. You realize that to care for the air is to care for yourself. The boundary between your inhale and the sky's exhale dissolves completely. Now, imagine the earth at dawn. The sun's first rays touch the upper atmosphere, scattering light like liquid gold. That light bends through air, through clouds, through dust, until it touches your skin, a warmth that began 93 million miles away, softened by air's gentle hand. Without the atmosphere, the sun would be a silent flame, too fierce, too cold. But with it, warmth becomes tenderness. Light becomes life. The sky glows because air breathes light into color. Blue in the day, crimson at dusk, silver in twilight. Every hue is the voice of the atmosphere, speaking in tone and shade. You have seen these colors all your life, but perhaps never thought of them as the language of breath. The air is a painter that never rests. As night deepens, you lie still again. The air cools. Your own breathing slows to match the rhythm of the world. The sky outside turns dark, not empty but filled with the soft pulse of invisible motion. Each molecule, each whisper of wind, each trace of warmth, all drifting in a slow, timeless ballet. You feel part of it, not separate. Never separate. You are breathing the same dream as the earth, your body, your breath, your thoughts all suspended within the tender hush of air dot, and somewhere high above, where the atmosphere fades into silence, the edge of the sky waits. It is the place where breath becomes light, where the thin veil that holds the world dissolves into the infinite, where the earth ends, not with a line, but with a whisper. You breathe one last deep breath, slow and complete. Inhale the patience of the sky. Exhale the weight of the world, and as you drift, you feel the atmosphere breathe with you, an endless, gentle rhythm that will continue long after you fall asleep. The breath of the sky is the breath of everything, and it carries you softly toward the next mystery, what lies beyond the air that holds you. You lie still, feeling the weight of the world beneath you. It's solid, unmoving, familiar, but what lies below is anything but still. Beneath the quiet soil and the deep layers of rock, the planet is alive. It turns, it flows, it burns, and somewhere in that unseen depth, the earth has a pulse. You can't hear it with your ears, but you can feel it if you listen a different way, through imagination, through wonder. Every second, deep currents of molten iron swirl and twist thousands of kilometers below your feet. Those slow, molten rivers create something extraordinary. The Earth's magnetic field. It's invisible, yet it touches everything you know. The core, that inner heart of the Earth, is divided into two realms, a solid center and a liquid sea surrounding it. The inner core, made mostly of iron and nickel, is as hot as the surface of the sun, but under such immense pressure that it remains solid, a sphere of glowing strength. Around it, the outer core flows like liquid fire, moving constantly, stirred by heat and rotation. As this molten metal churns, it generates electric currents. Those currents create magnetism, and from that magnetism comes the invisible shield that wraps the planet like an embrace. This field, this magnetic heart, is what makes compasses point north. It's what guides migratory birds across oceans and whales through deep seas. It's what protects your body, your breath, your sky, from the sun's relentless wind. Without it, Earth would be stripped of its air, its warmth, its ability to cradle life. You close your eyes and imagine drifting downward through the cool crust, past layers of stone and crystal, into a realm where rock softens into flow. Deeper still, the temperature rises. You feel waves of warmth, slow and steady. The deeper you go, the more alive it becomes. Movement you cannot see, but can sense. Currents swirl around the solid inner core, glowing with energy that has pulsed for billions of years. Here, time loses its usual meaning. Each moment is part of a rhythm too vast to measure the heartbeat of the planet. You reach the edge of the liquid outer core. It feels vast, endless, dark and gold at once. You can almost see glowing streams moving like slow thunderclouds, folding and unfolding. The sound, if it could be heard, would be deep and constant, a hum that feels both ancient and comforting. This motion is called the dynamo, the mechanism that keeps the magnetic field alive. The molten iron flows and twists in patterns shaped by the Earth's rotation, by its inner heat, by the subtle pull of cosmic rhythm. Every turn of that metal stirs invisible threads of energy that rise to the surface, stretch into space, and form the great magnetic bubble that shields our world. It is the Earth's own heartbeat turned outward, a field of protection extending far beyond what the eyes can see. You drift higher now, rising through layers of stone and pressure until you reach the surface again. You lie back, and though the world seems silent, you now know what hums beneath it. The magnetic field reaches through you. Every moment, invisible lines of force pass through your body, from pole to pole, from sky to soil. You live within a magnetic cradle. You picture these lines of energy, graceful arcs that curve from the North Pole to the South Pole, looping and shimmering like ribbons of invisible light. They pass through oceans, through mountains, through the very air. You are surrounded by them. And in this soft night, you can almost feel their presence, like the gentle pressure of a deep, calm sea. It's strange to think that this field moves, changes, drifts. The magnetic poles are not fixed. They wander, shifting slightly each year, following the slow motion of the molten heart below. Sometimes, in the deep timeline of the Earth, they even reverse. North becomes south, and south becomes north. These reversals have happened many times, marking the planet's memory like breath marks on an ancient page. And yet, through every shift, life endures. The field weakens, reforms. And the earth continues its quiet rotation, unbothered by chaos, finding balance again and again. You imagine standing at the magnetic north, not the geographic pole, but the place where the invisible lines converge. There, the compass needle stands upright, not pointing but resting. Above, the sky glows with faint green light, the aurora borealis. You've seen it perhaps in pictures, but tonight you imagine it as a living thought of the earth. Those shimmering curtains are born from the meeting of cosmic wind and the magnetic field. Particles from the sun spiral toward Earth, but instead of striking it directly, they are caught in the magnetic web, guided toward the poles. There, in the upper atmosphere, they collide with atoms of oxygen and nitrogen, painting the sky with light. Green, pink, violet, soft waves of color that breathe across the heavens like a dream. Each aurora is a reminder of the planet's invisible strength. Without the magnetic field, those solar winds would erode the atmosphere itself, stripping away the air that sustains life. Mars once had a field like ours, but it faded long ago, and with it the warmth and breath of the planet disappeared. Earth still hums, still beats, still glows. Our magnetic heart still shields us, still whispers protection in silence. You begin to notice how everything is connected to this unseen pulse. Migratory birds use it to navigate across continents. Sea turtles return to the same beach by sensing its lines. Even your own brain produces faint magnetic patterns, tiny echoes of the same laws that shape the planet's core. Magnetism is not separate from life. It is part of the pattern that weaves all things together. In every heartbeat, every electric thought, every spark of motion, magnetism hums quietly, like background music to existence. You let your awareness sink deeper again. You picture your own heartbeat, steady and rhythmic. Your heart pumps blood, iron-rich and warm, that same element that flows in the planet's core. The iron in your blood once came from ancient stars, from supernova that exploded long before Earth was born. That iron settled into dust, into rock, into molten depths, and into you. You and the planet share the same metal, the same memory of starlight. Your heart's pulse mirrors the magnetic pulse below your feet. You take a slow breath. The idea settles softly. The rhythm of life and the rhythm of Earth are not two separate things. They are harmonies of the same song. When you walk, when you breathe, when your heart beats, you are part of that deep, slow music. The magnetic field hums through you, shaping the currents of the sea, the flow of wind, the shimmer of light. It is an invisible web connecting every living pulse to the core of the world. Scientists call this field the magnetosphere, the region where Earth's magnetic influence extends into space. It stretches far beyond the atmosphere, farther than you can imagine, deflecting solar winds and cosmic rays, guiding charged particles into quiet dance. Sometimes those particles spiral down, along magnetic lines and create auroras so strong they can be seen from space, the planet glowing with its own heartbeat of light. You picture Earth from orbit now, a blue marble surrounded by invisible arcs of magnetism, like a cocoon of energy. You imagine how it must look to distant eyes, the only known world where the field still breathes, where air still moves, where light still bends in kindness. You realize how fragile that balance is, and how miraculous. Even now, beneath countenance, the core continues to churn. The liquid iron flows in patterns that shift over centuries, like tides too slow for human time. It is an ancient dance, gravity pulling, heat rising, rotation twisting, all merging into an endless loop. Each movement sends out waves of magnetic force, invisible and yet eternal. You might think of it as a pulse, but perhaps it's more like a meditation, the earth breathing in its own way, not in seconds or minutes, but in millions of years. The outer core flows, the inner core slowly cools, the magnetic field adjusts, a cosmic inhale, an exhale, a pause. This is the kind of rhythm that doesn't rush. It simply is. And just as the atmosphere breathes above, the core breathes below. Between them lies the crust, our home, our ground, our bed. You, lying here, are cradled between two breaths, one of air and one of fire. You are held within the earth's living body, surrounded by its invisible heartbeats. The stars above shimmer faintly, their light crossing space and magnetism alike. You think of the sun, sending its winds across the solar system. You think of how the earth responds, not in fear, but in graceful deflection, curving those winds around itself like a dancer turning aside a storm. The magnetic field is both strength and softness. It bends, but it never breaks. Somewhere deep below, the molten currents continue to turn. They will turn long after you, long after everything you know, shaping the field for millions of years more. That thought brings comfort. The world is alive, awake, watching over you even as you sleep. You rest a hand over your heart. The beat beneath your fingers echoes the deep pulse of molten iron far below. Different in scale, but born of the same laws. The same physics, the same flow, the same quiet beauty. In this moment, you and the earth share a rhythm. The boundary between your heartbeat and the planet's heartbeat fades. You are both instruments in the same cosmic orchestra. Your pulse, your breath. You're being tuned to the slow song of the planet's core. You lie back, feeling the earth's warmth rising faintly through the ground. Above, the sky stretches wide and dark. Somewhere far north, the aurora shimmers, green, violet, gold, light drawn by the magnetic breath of the world. You begin to drift again, floating upward from the planet's molten core, rising through rock and root and soil until the surface greets you like a breath of cool air. The world above feels calm now, mountains sleeping beneath snow, oceans shimmering beneath the moon. But tonight, you are drawn somewhere quieter, where silence carries weight and wonder. You are going to the hidden places where the earth still keeps secrets. You travel north, toward the lands of ice. The air grows sharp and still. The light fades into a slow twilight, blue and silver. Snow stretches in all directions, endless, gentle, ancient. And beneath it, deep below, something moves. It begins not with sound, but with a feeling. The faint awareness of water, patient and alive, flowing beneath layers of frozen stone. You close your eyes and imagine it, a sea that has never seen sunlight, moving beneath glaciers that have not melted for millions of years. This is not the ocean of maps or tides, but the subglacial ocean, the sea that sleeps beneath ice. Here, under kilometers of frozen weight, water carves secret rivers and basins. Pressure and warmth from the earth's core keep it from freezing solid. It flows slowly, almost imperceptibly, beneath the Antarctic ice sheets, beneath Greenland's frozen crown, beneath mountain glaciers, and even beneath permafrost in the north. It is hidden, but it is vast, containing more water than all the surface lakes on Earth combined. Scientists once believed these frozen regions were silent and dead. But when they listened carefully, with radar, with sensors, with curiosity, they heard whispers of motion. They found rivers flowing beneath the ice, lakes sealed away for hundreds of thousands of years, still liquid, still alive. They discovered Lake Vostok, a vast body of water buried beneath 4 kilometers of Antarctic ice, as large as one of Earth's great inland seas. Inside that dark isolation, life exists. Microbes, simple yet resilient, drift in total darkness, sustained by chemical reactions and ancient heat. A world within a world. You imagine sinking down through that ice. Each layer is a page of time, a record of storms, of centuries. Tiny bubbles trap the breath of ancient air. As you descend, light fades, and the ice becomes darker, bluer, denser. Then, suddenly, there it is. Liquid water. Moving, glimmering softly in the dark. It's warmer than the ice above, though still cold enough to sting your thoughts. It flows with purpose, following unseen channels carved by heat and gravity. The silence here is complete. You feel suspended in time, the only witness to a story that began long before human memory. The water carries minerals from rock, tiny nutrients that feed invisible lives. It is not empty. It dreams. You drift across this hidden sea, tracing its surface with your awareness. It feels like an ancient pulse, a slow exhale from the planet's core reaching up through frozen skin. It connects to rivers that slide beneath glaciers, carrying meltwater toward the edges of continents where it meets the open ocean again. The cycle never truly stops. Water flows, freezes, melts, and flows again. Even in the stillest place, motion remains. The sea beneath ice is not just a secret of Earth. It is also a clue, a mirror of what may exist on other worlds. When scientists look at Europa, a moon of Jupiter, or Enceladus, circling Saturn, they see thick shells of ice, cracked and glistening, and beneath them, vast global oceans. They see plumes of water bursting from the surface, proof that beneath that frozen armor, something stirs. Perhaps life too. Earth's subglacial lakes help us imagine what might sleep in those cosmic seas, quiet, patient, waiting. You think of this as you float in the darkness beneath Antarctica. You think of the way water always finds a way, through rock, through time, through cold. You realize that water is not just a liquid, but a memory, a story the planet keeps telling. It remembers rain, it remembers oceans, it remembers being steam and ice and cloud. And in every form, it remains itself, gentle, persistent, unbroken. Even beneath ice that seems eternal, warmth rises. Heat from the core travels upward, melting small pockets of liquid. Those pockets merge, grow, and create small lakes. Some last only a few years before freezing again. Others, like Lake Vostok, have remained liquid for millions of years, untouched by the sky. Each one holds its own ecosystem, a small sealed version of the planet's original sea. You imagine drifting across the surface of such a hidden lake. Your reflection would not appear. There is no light here, only the faint glow of minerals. You hear a low hum, the sound of ice pressing down from above. The walls creak gently, a whisper of movement in frozen time. And through it all, the water moves slow, eternal, deliberate. Sometimes, scientists drill down through the ice to touch these buried waters. They use sterile tools, cautious not to disturb the balance. When they sample the water, they find traces of life, tiny cells still breathing, still dividing, after countless generations in the dark. No sunlight, no photosynthesis, just the chemistry of survival. These are the Earth's oldest whispers, still speaking in the language of molecules. You realize that beneath every frozen surface, there may be a secret ocean. Even beneath your feet now, if you stood upon a glacier or polar plain, there might be water flowing, invisible, carrying sediments, reshaping the world slowly from below. The ice above moves to creeping forward at the speed of thought, sculpting valleys, grinding mountains into sand. Every motion above depends on the quiet persistence below. Water has always been a paradox, soft yet unyielding. It yields to every shape yet wears down stone. It flows through cracks but never truly breaks. Here beneath ice, that paradox deepens. Stillness and movement become the same thing. The sea sleeps, but it never stops dreaming. You think about how this hidden world connects to the rhythm of the Earth's magnetic heart you visited before. The same heat that drives the molten core rises upward, keeping these buried oceans alive. The same magnetic field that shields the surface helps guide satellites that map them. The same pulse that flows through molten iron flows through liquid water. Everything is connected, layer by layer, breath by breath. And in a way, this hidden water connects to you as well. The salt in your tears, the minerals in your blood, the warmth that sustains your body, all trace their origin to the ancient ocean that once covered the world. You are made of that water, shaped by it, sustained by it. Even your thoughts depend on its balance. When you dream, the rhythm of your breath echoes the slow tides beneath ice. You close your eyes and imagine Earth from space, a blue sphere half covered by white. Beneath that white, entire worlds hide. Beneath Antarctica lie more than 400 known subglacial lakes, each one an island of liquid beneath a continent of ice. Some connect through thin channels, exchanging whispers of water like letters sent between friends. Others remain sealed, alone, perfectly still. And yet, together, they form a network, a hidden ocean beneath a frozen sky. It's humbling to realize how much of the Earth remains unseen. We think we know our planet, its continents, its seas, its storms, but most of it lives in darkness. Not emptiness, but depth. The kind of quiet that holds life instead of silence. You breathe slowly. You imagine yourself floating through this under-ice world, weightless, timeless. The ceiling above glows faintly with light scattered from the surface. Tiny air bubbles drift upward, trapped for eternity in the crystal ice. You can almost feel the cold radiating through you, not harsh, but cleansing, like a deep stillness you've never known. You think of time here, how long the ice has rested, how many centuries of snowfall pressed down, turning light flakes into solid glass. Each layer marks a moment, a storm, a season, a memory. To travel downward is to travel backward through time, and at the bottom, where water moves beneath pressure and heat, you meet the present again, a loop of existence, perfectly complete. Even here, under kilometers of ice, the planet breathes. It exhales through slow flows, through melt channels, through subglacial rivers that rise and fall like the pulse of a sleeping giant. Sometimes the ice above lifts slightly, as if the planet sighs in its sleep. Then the water moves again, shifting quietly in the dark. Some of these buried waters eventually reach the surface. They emerge as springs, as meltwater rivers, as roaring waterfalls when the seasons change. They carry minerals, nutrients, life messages from the deep. When that water finally touches sunlight again, it carries with it the story of all it has passed through: rock, pressure, darkness, and patience. Every drop is a witness. You picture one of these rivers breaking free at the edge of the glacier, carving its way into the open air. Steam rises where cold meets warmth. The water rushes forward, clear and silver, laughing after centuries of silence. And you realize even the coldest heart of the planet finds ways to move, to change, to live. The idea comforts you. It tells you that stillness is never truly still. Even in frozen silence, there is movement, slow, quiet, purposeful. The hidden oceans of Earth are reminders of this truth. What appears asleep may only be waiting as you lie in the quiet of night. You can almost feel that undercurrent, the subtle flow beneath the surface of things. Perhaps your own life is like that too, quiet on the outside, but full of unseen motion below. Growth, memory, healing, all happening beneath the ice of your own awareness. You rest deeper now, floating in that understanding. The planet holds you gently, its cold and warmth balanced in perfect peace. You wake gently from the dream of water. The sound of waves beneath ice fades, replaced by a slower, lighter rhythm. The sound of wind brushing over the earth. The air feels cool against your skin. You open your eyes, and the world above you stretches wide, endless. Alive, you have risen from the sea, beneath ice, into the sea above the atmosphere. A great invisible ocean that never rests. It has no shore, yet it touches everything. It is where every cloud forms, every whisper travels, every breath begins and ends. You take a slow breath now. It feels ordinary, but it is not. With that breath, you draw in atoms that have drifted across centuries, molecules once breathed by trees, by whales, by ancient animals, by people long before you. Air is not empty. It is full of memory. The atmosphere, like the oceans below, moves in slow currents. It rises with warmth, falls with coolness, spirals across continents, weaves around mountains, slips through valleys. And within it, the planet speaks in wind, in pressure, in storms, in calm. You feel that movement around you. It's soft tonight, a faint, rhythmic, stirring, like the breath of a sleeping world. And you realize that the air is not just above you, it is inside you, too. Every inhale and exhale connects you to the pulse of the planet. The air around the Earth stretches upward more than 100 kilometers. But almost all life happens within the first few, a delicate film of gas that wraps the planet like silk. This is the troposphere, the lowest layer, where clouds live and weather dances. Above it, thinner layers shimmer, the stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, each holding its own quiet wonder. And beyond them all, at the edge where air fades into space, the planet releases its final breath into the void. You imagine floating through these layers. The lower air smells faintly of salt and life. You rise higher, clouds drift like sleeping creatures below you. Higher still, the sky darkens, and sunlight breaks into pure silver lines. You see the curvature of the earth beneath blue, white, gold. The air thins, the sound fades, and there, between worlds, you begin to understand how fragile this layer truly is. The atmosphere is the planet's skin, thin, living, protective. Without it, oceans would boil away. Without it, warmth would vanish into space. Without it, there would be no breath, no sound, no life. It is the world's most silent guardian, invisible yet always present. You think of the balance within this ocean of air, the blend of gases that keeps everything alive. About 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, a trace of carbon dioxide, and smaller whispers of other elements. Each plays its part in the music of existence. Oxygen fuels life, nitrogen stabilizes, carbon carries memory. Even the smallest molecule matters. When you breathe in, your body becomes a temporary home for these elements. They enter your lungs, your blood, your cells. Then, when you exhale, they return, changed, carrying the soft imprint of your presence. You are not separate from the air. You are part of its rhythm, and that rhythm has been going on for billions of years. When the Earth was young, its air was heavy with volcanic gases, carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia. No oxygen then, no breath, only fire and fog. Then came the first living things, tiny cyanobacteria, small as dust, yet patient beyond measure. They began to capture sunlight, to split water, to release oxygen. For millions of years, they transformed the planet's sky, turning poison into possibility. That was the first breath of the world, the moment air became something that could hold life. You imagine that time, the sky still orange and dense, the air trembling with heat. Then, slowly, blue begins to spread. The ocean releases bubbles that rise and shimmer. And one day, somewhere, an animal takes the first true breath. In that moment, the world changes forever. Since then, every breath, yours, mine, every creature's, is part of that same exchange. Air circulates endlessly. The oxygen you breathe now may have once rested in a leaf, or flowed through the lungs of a bird flying across an ocean, or drifted high above the Himalayas. Every molecule is shared, recycled, remembered. When you exhale, your breath will become part of someone else's tomorrow. You think about that as you breathe. Again, how air carries connection. It moves freely, ignoring borders and walls. It links every mountain to every sea, every forest to every city. Even now, as you lie still, the wind outside continues to weave the world together. A single gust could carry grains of sand from Africa across the Atlantic to feed the soil of South America. A faint current from the Pacific could bring the scent of rain to the desert. The air holds all things in quiet unity. You begin to hear that unity now. The whisper of leaves moving, the sigh of distant waves, the pulse of your breath, all parts of one shared inhalation. It feels like the planet itself is breathing with you. There is science in that rhythm. Trees inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. Humans do the opposite. Between us flows a silent conversation, the exchange that keeps life balanced. You breathe in what the forest gives. The forest breathes in what you release. In that endless exchange, the world maintains its calm. You think of this balance as delicate, like a slow waltz. If too much carbon fills the air, the warmth builds. Ice melts. Oceans rise. The breath of the planet becomes labored, and yet, even as the world changes, it keeps trying to find equilibrium, a slower, deeper breath. Somewhere high above, in the thin blue of the stratosphere, another layer protects the Earth, the ozone. It shields life from the sun's harsh light, allowing warmth but filtering harm. Without it, the delicate tissues of living things would burn. Even this invisible shield is alive in its own way, forming, breaking, reforming with the rhythm of light. You drift higher in your imagination, into that bright layer where ozone glows faintly violet. From here, you can see the curvature of the planet clearly now. You notice how the clouds move, how the atmosphere glows at its edge, a thin halo of light hugging the dark. It looks fragile. It is fragile. And yet, it has endured for billions of years. You realize that the air doesn't just sustain life, it carries stories. Sound travels through it. The laughter of children, the call of a bird, the thunder of a storm. Each vibration ripples outward, fades, but never truly disappears. In a way, the air is an archive of sound, memory written in waves. Even scent is memory. The smell of rain, that soft, earthy sweetness, is the chemical geosmin released when dry soil meets water. The scent of the ocean, dimethyl sulfide, carried from tiny organisms to your senses. The smell of pine, ozone after lightning, each one is a trace of chemistry, a signature of the living air. You breathe it in again, this mixture of science and soul. Each molecule has journeyed far, crossing lands, touching clouds, circling the planet. Some atoms in your lungs tonight may have once drifted through the breath of dinosaurs, through the lungs of the first mammals, through the sighs of the first humans. Air is ancient, yet always new. You realize now why the atmosphere feels alive. It is a memory that never fades, a library of life that keeps circulating. Every moment you live, you add to it. Your laughter, your warmth, even your quiet, they all dissolve into air and join the collective rhythm of the world. And yet, despite all that movement, the air feels calm tonight. You sense its weightless presence, wrapping you, holding you. It moves gently through the room, a faint dance between stillness and motion. You notice how your breathing slows with it deep, even, timeless. You think of the earth again, the core burning, the oceans moving, the ice whispering, and above it all, this soft veil of air embracing everything. From the inside out, the planet is built on breath, heat below, flow beneath, and air above. It is as if the world itself breathes in 3 layers: fire, water, wind. Together they form the living rhythm of existence. You realize that you, too, breathe in layers. The deep breath of your body, the slower breath of your thoughts, the quietest breath, the one that doesn't move, air, but awareness. Each one mirrors the planet's own rhythm. Each one connects you back to the world. You rest deeper now, your body still, your mind wide. You can almost hear the air moving above forests and seas, the soft sound of a billion leaves exhaling. Every gust, every sigh, every calm stillness. It's all part of one endless breath. And as you listen, you begin to feel gratitude for something so simple, so constant, so often unseen. The air that has carried voices and life for eons continues to move gently through you. You are not just in the atmosphere, you are of it. You exhale slowly. Outside, a soft wind passes. It carries your breath upward, mingling with others, with clouds, with the sky. Your breath joins the world's breath, lost and found again in the same instant. It's a small, perfect cycle. The planet continues its rotation. Sunlight begins to touch the horizon somewhere far away. New winds are born, new clouds gather, and the breath of the world goes on, always remembering, always renewing. You let that rhythm cradle you now. Every breath a wave, every pause a shore. You are floating in the invisible ocean of air, calm, connected, eternal. The world inhales. You exhale, and the space between the two is where peace lives. You drift slowly towards sleep, your body and the planet breathing together, one long shared sigh beneath the stars. And just before you fade completely, One last thought passes softly through your mind. Perhaps the atmosphere doesn't just remember us. Perhaps it sings us gently, endlessly, back into the rhythm of the world.